A plane flies for 9 hours and then brings the passengers right back where they started from. Fake Brad Pitt scams 2 women out of hundreds of thousands of euros, and animal parts are falling from the sky. Woo! Weird stories for Wednesday on Weird AF News, the only daily weird news podcast hosted by a guy in a closet. A short guy in a closet. I fit in the closet pretty comfortably. Yeah, I do. Passengers have a new fear unlocked after a plane flies for 9 hours and then lands back at the same airport it took off from. What happened? They ran out of coffee? I'd be okay if they turned around. We're out of coffee. We got to turn around. Okay, got it. I understand. When did flying turn into buying a lottery ticket? You're like, I don't know what I'm going to get here, but I hope I hope I get where I'm going without being punched in the face or delayed 2 days. The article begins by saying, we've heard many nightmarish travel stories over recent months, including some horror shows on cruise ships as well. Yes, and on Weird AF News, I've covered many, many nightmarish travel stories, as you know, those of you who have been loyal listeners, and I thank you for being there for me. Some recent events certainly rank high among the worst travel stories. This one in particular, it saw passengers flying out of Dallas for 5 hours before returning right back to Dallas. Well, I mean, it could have been worse. It could have been Florida. You fly. What a nightmare. You fly out of Florida. I'm trying to leave Florida. Guys, we've landed. Where are we? Somewhere else? No, we're back in Florida. So there's that. It says here, passengers on the American Airlines flight from the Texas City to Incheon International Airport in Seoul, South Korea, were in the air for about 9 hours in total just to return to the airport, the same airport that the plane took off from. That's just crazy. Here we are, guys. We're here. We're in Seoul, Korea. Wait a minute. Is that my house? I don't think we're in Seoul, man. We have someone named Jimin Lee who was on board this flight. Jimin took her smartphone out to record all of the commotion. She posted a clip on Instagram. She was having a snack as the plane decided to turn around. I'm wondering if the pilot made an announcement about what was going on, or they just land and surprise. She captioned her Instagram post with, "New fear unlocked. Your flight to Korea may go 5 hours and then come back with zero explanation." Oh, so I assume there was no explanation until they already landed. But this, as far as fears go when flying, this isn't even in my top 10. I mean, we can think of many other fears of flying that would top this one. This is just a huge inconvenience, obviously. The passenger went on to say the airline staff said there was a problem with the toilets, while the pilot reportedly asked if someone was, quote, carrying a screwdriver to help fix the issue. So that's funny. We have a toilet issue. Does anybody have a screwdriver? Shouldn't you ask if there's a plumber on board? Oh, right. Is there a plumber on board? Okay, no. Is there a normal person with a screwdriver? How are you going to bring a screwdriver on a plane, man? They don't even let you bring a bottle of water on the plane. You're going to bring a screwdriver on the plane? Although maybe you can bring a screwdriver on the plane, but a very tiny one. The other question I have is, why not just put a sign on the bathroom that says temporarily out of order and just continue with your flight? You're already 5 hours into, I think it's like 14 hours to Seoul. So, you can handle it with one bathroom down, can't you? It's not the end of the world if one of the bathrooms not working. Now, some of my other questions have been shared by commenters on the viral video. One person said they should have just landed in LAX instead of going all the way back to Dallas. Makes no sense. Probably didn't want to pay for the hotels. Yeah, that could be a thing. They're like, more money on gas or shell out some money for hotel rooms. Yeah, you would think that they would just stop at another airport along the way, fix the bathroom. We're going to stop at LAX to get a screwdriver. Just hold on, everybody. Now, the airlines made a statement, which I'm guessing is unsatisfactory because their statements are never satisfactory. They say the flight landed safely and without incident at Dallas Fort Worth and the aircraft was taken out of service to be inspected by our maintenance team. We never want to disrupt our customers' travel plans, and we apologize for the inconvenience. Over one bathroom that isn't working because no one got a screwdriver? How is there not a screwdriver in the cockpit? What if something goes wrong with some equipment in the cockpit? There's no little tools in there that they can address the issue? That's kind of alarming to learn that they leave the runway and there's no tools whatsoever for the pilots or crew to solve any maintenance issue on the plane. The only thing they can do is turn around. Just go, oh, turn around. One of the passengers' miniature lights wasn't working. We're going to have to turn this thing around, guys. So sorry. Now, the airline also stated that the flight redeparted on a replacement aircraft the next day. So everyone had to go home or wherever and just fly out the next. So inconvenient. Like, there's just so much going on with flights these days that you just got to be thankful if you make it somewhere in one piece. It's sort of on time. Fake Brad Pitt scams 2 women out of hundreds of thousands of euros. This story is out of Spain. Spanish authorities have arrested 5 individuals involved in an elaborate scam that defrauded 2 women of 325,000 euros. The suspects reportedly posed as Hollywood star Brad Pitt, contacting the victims via online fan pages and WhatsApp messaging, convincing them they were in a romantic relationship with the actor Brad Pitt. Oh, it's so sad and it's so strange, but it's sort of common. People, they foolishly fall for these elaborate Hollywood romance scams, thinking that a real celebrity is in love with them. I was just messaging Selena Gomez about this the other day. I've been messaging her back and forth. She thinks I'm a funny comedian and podcaster. She's about to help me in my acting career too. Going to get me an audition for this independent film. I just have to Venmo her like $3,000 so she can fix her car. So yeah, we were talking about this, and we both feel bad about the situation. Now let's get into the details of how it all went down. Maybe you can learn something. The scammers targeted some women, leading them to believe they were interacting with the Oscar-winning actor Brad Pitt. The suspects convinced the women to invest in fake projects. One woman from Andalusia was defrauded of 175,000 euros, while the other from the Basque country lost 150,000 euros. The cybercriminals took great care in studying these women's social media profiles, creating detailed psychological profiles to exploit their clear vulnerabilities. Both women were reportedly in a state of severe depression, and they were emotionally fragile, which the scammers used in order to manipulate them. These horrible suspects maintained communication with the victims through messaging platforms, with the women believing they were exchanging messages with the actual Brad Pitt himself, who allegedly promised them a romantic future together. These scams, they're called romance scams. They're quite common. I mean, billions of dollars are lost every year on romance scams. I covered a crazy story about a woman in China who was apparently contacted by a fake astronaut living on the International Space Station, the ISS, who convinced her that he needed tens of thousands of dollars for a return flight back to Earth to then have a romance with her, and she sent all this money. Very, very sad. They target people who are emotionally vulnerable and oftentimes in an advanced age, and they're not all there. Someone creates a fake profile of a celebrity. They think it's real. These people are they're just not familiar enough with technology. That's what's going on. You know how there's like a group of people out there that think that if you're just on the web, like it legitimizes you. It's like, do you remember there was like you go to a store like Walmart, or let's just say years and years ago, or Kmart, which sadly there's like the last Kmart is shutting down, I heard. And then they would have a product in there, and the whole marketing of the product was as seen on TV. Do you remember this? Like, oh, as seen on TV. At one point in time, as seen on TV, like legitimized your product, made it sound like it was so much cooler. And there's still people walking around with as seen on TV brain, where they're like, so it's like it's on the internet? It looks like a fan page. Must be real. It's on the internet. And sadly, these people are just easily coerced. Now, thankfully, A police operation resulted in the arrest of 5 individuals in Andalusia, including the group's leaders. During raids on 5 homes, officers confiscated mobile phones, bank cards, computers, and a diary that contained scripted phrases used to deceive the victims. Authorities were able to recover 85,000 euros from this fraudulent activity. Well, it's nice to know for once the cyber police got on the case and actually made arrests and returned some of the money. Because a lot of this you just got to chalk it up as a loss. There's nothing that they can do. There's some things that you can do, though. Like maybe you have a grandma who's still got a smartphone. Maybe put that smartphone on some lockdown, or at least put their profile on private. Because one of the tactics is, if you don't have a private account, they can learn a lot about you by just going through your Facebook profile, what you like, the fan clubs that you've joined, and they can use that in their approach. So if there's someone that you're close to that's of advanced age and you think might be vulnerable in this particular way, then, have them put everything on private for one, or just take away the smartphone entirely. But, these grandmas need their smartphones. They're always TikToking. It's not just elderly either. I mean, we all need to be on high alert for these sorts of scams. The crypto scams I read were responsible for $2 to $3 billion last year in California. That's just the state of California, people falling for crypto scams. Anyways, I got this message the other day, as a matter of fact, in my Instagram. Listen to this. It says, "Hi, Jack." First of all, didn't even get my name right. That's how bad some of these are. They don't even get your name right. "Hi, Jack. When I was dealing with the items left by my husband after his death, I found that he still had, 2,600,000 USDT in his mobile wallet." Okay, so I assume this is a crypto thing. And then they give me the account number and the password and the website. "If you can help me withdraw the money, I will personally return to the UK to thank you and give you some rewards." They didn't even get my country right. So they're just levels to it. Some are very obviously horrible at it, and then some are better. Obviously, they work sometimes. So just be on alert with that. Don't open any links. Like that link that's in there, I would never in a million years click on the link that they put in there. Never click on links from people that you have no clue who they are in any of your social media platforms, or in emails as well. These are just some tips. A lot of it is common sense. Anyways, I hope that helps.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold! Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See detail.
Let's rock.
Animal parts falling from the sky have one British Columbia community fed up. They're just tired of the animal parts falling from the sky. The dogs falling from the sky. The cats are falling from the sky. Sorry. Residents in the Yankee Flats and Silver Creek area of the Shuswap are exploring legal action against a local compost facility. Ugh, this sounds horrible. The neighbors surrounding the Spa Hills farm say there is a lack of oversight and regulation of the business. Denise Tomlinson describes living next to this facility as being horrific. This is a local compost facility. Here's a quote from Denise. She says, "There's plastic all over my horse pasture. There's meat chunks that the birds are dropping into the pen, into our yard." She told the media that the meat and bones she finds on her property come from the compost facility nearby. She said the odor emanating from this facility, which renders down animal parts onto her property, is pretty disgusting. Now, Denise isn't the only neighbor saying they're upset with the compost company's operations. There was a meeting. 70 individual impact statements were brought forward from citizens concerned with what they say is a lack of oversight of this compost facility. We got an owner of the compost facility. His name is Josh Mitchell. He says he's taking steps to mitigate these problems of the animal parts falling from the sky. He maintains that he's changed his dumping hours to prevent the wildlife from dragging animal byproducts away from the facility and depositing them on nearby properties. This is just kind of disgusting, right? So I'd imagine it's like an open compost? Like, can you put a roof over it or something? I don't know. I don't know anything about compost facilities, to be honest with you. But maybe even a net could work. Just because animals are just grabbing birds specifically, it sounds, are grabbing the byproducts of the compost facility and then trying to fly away with them, and then some of them drop onto nearby homes and probably into people's kiddie pools and on the faces of neighbors that are trying to just mow their lawn or have a nice glass of lemonade on their porch while they look at the British Columbian beautiful sunset. It says here Mitchell hopes that the problems he has with his neighbors are going to become minor, but the group of neighbors say they've retained some legal counsel. They're considering legal action. Yeah, they're not pleased with this. I mean, you got animal parts, chicken parts falling onto your property. I mean, it's easy to say just go get yourself a dipping sauce and have a good time. Why complain? But, they're not edible. I'd imagine these aren't edible. So that's out of the question. It's out of the question. Maybe you'll be lucky. An animal part will fall right on your grill. No. You can't have this, man. And imagine the smell. Oh, the smell. Oh, boy. Ooh, that smell. Can't you smell that smell? The compost around you. Now, one could say, hey, if it's really bad, you could just move. But, like, if you own your property, like, well, how you can't just get up and you can't just raise stakes and go find some other property. Property's expensive these days. If you got yourself a piece of land in this world, you got to kind of hold on to it and then pray that a compost factory doesn't crop up right next door to you. What are like the top 5 facilities you don't want to live next to? Obviously, compost is in the top 5. I would say like a fireworks manufacturer. You don't want to be next to a fireworks manufacturer. Sometimes those things blow up. And when they blow up, man, no, they blow up. They don't just blow up. They blow the F up. Yeah, you don't want to be anywhere near that. I would say you probably don't want to live next to a volcano farm. You don't want to live next to a volcano farm, Jonesy. I don't think that exists. Yeah, it doesn't exist, I don't think. I'm trying to improv my way through the ending of this. What's some other places that you would never want to own property next to? I would say a DJ training facility. You don't want to live next to a DJ training facility because there's just going to be some bad, loud EDM every single night going on. And all day, probably. All day long into the night. And that would drive me insane. Also, you probably don't want to live next to a skunk farm. Skunk farm's probably out of the question. That's a bad neighbor. Probably the number one thing you don't want to live next to if you own some property is the state of Florida. Definitely not want to be a neighbor of Florida.
Isn't the point of traveling to get away from it all? To feel the best you've ever felt? Then maybe you should check out Aruba. You'll spend your time relaxing on cool, white, sandy beaches and floating in healing blue water. You'll meet locals brimming with gratitude for an island that redefines what a paradise can be. When your trip comes to an end, you won't need another vacation because you just had the vacation. That's the Aruba effect. Plan your trip at Aruba.com.
Ow, get your news on. 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 Get your weird news on. What's up, my friends? Thanks for spending some time with your buddy Jonesy in the closet, recording in this hot closet, although the temperature's falling in Southern California, so I'm doing okay. I'm very, very caffeinated today, if you couldn't tell, and I want to thank everybody who's kept me caffeinated, specifically those of you who have bought me coffees or my beloved patrons who buy me a coffee every month and just keep me going. Gotta love it. Shout out to the patrons and the coffee buyers. You can do any of those things at my website, weirdafnews.com. You can buy me coffee. You can join the Patreon. It's good. It's a good way to support the show. You can also write a review on like Amazon or Apple Podcasts, or if you're listening on Spotify, you can give it 5 stars or 4 stars or 3 stars. I would say give me at least 3 stars on there. I think that's fair, right? After all, just straight up listening is it doesn't cost you anything. Just 3 stars is pretty cool. It only takes you a second, by the way, to leave a 5-star review or a 4-star or a 3-star review on Spotify. Please consider doing so. I got some lovely reviews here from some supporters and fans of the podcast on Amazon. We have Michelle Stevenson, who gave me 5 stars and wrote, "What life?" And here's her review. I can only faintly remember my life before discovering Jonesy. Now my morning commute is just off without him. I tend to agree with his moral, social, and political views. If only we'd met sooner. Keep living your life, man, and making us laugh. No, that's very sweet of Michelle, who wishes that she met me sooner. Yeah, I don't know where you are, Michelle, but maybe in an alternative universe we meet and have bebes. Sandra gave me 5 stars too. Let's give it up for Sandra for being very generous with the 5 stars. And she wrote, "Thank you. Alexa, play Weird AF News, the best daily podcast ever. I appreciate you, Jonesy." Isn't that nice? That's a very short and sweet review, but how you feel comes across, Sandra. So I just want to say I'm very grateful for you expressing how you feel about the show. And leaving reviews on Amazon is very, very helpful. So thank you guys for doing that. I appreciate that very much. It helps me out because people like to leave nasty reviews over there for some strange reason. But we want them. We wish them help. We wish them help. I think there's pills out there that can help them with what they have. Meanwhile, I'm going to let you go. And if you'd like to email me, it's funnyjones@gmail.com. If you want to call the show, 646-450-2012. If you want to come to a live stand-up comedy show, you happen to be in Southern California, visit my Instagram @funnyjones, and that's where I keep people updated on where I'll be performing stand-up comedy. And good luck with your life, man. Bye-bye.